Good afternoon, dividend growth stock investors. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And as you may or may not know, on Saturdays, if any of the 60 high quality dividend growth stocks that this DGI Crab channel focuses on announce a dividend increase at any point during the week, I will go over it on Saturday. I launched the channel not quite 2 months ago, and so far I have had the great pleasure and fortune of sharing with you a dividend increase from amongst these 60 stocks each and every Saturday, and the streak for me continues. The streak continues for Nordson as well. So Nordson, this is a company that unless you directly work with them in their industry, or you're a dividend growth stock investor and you keep track of the stock market, you've probably never heard of them before. This is a very under the radar company for dividend growth investors. Now, as you also may or may not know, of these 60 stocks that I have selected for the channel, I have broken them down into 4 separate categories, tiers 1 through 4, and those are based on the age of the investor. Nordson falls in the tier 1 category, which is designed for the 18 to 30-year-old investor. Now, don't take this as financial advice. I'm not a licensed professional, and these are just the opinions of one crab. But I will say that Nordson is one of my absolute favorite stocks. If you tell somebody that Microsoft is one of your favorite stocks, or Visa, or McDonald's, or Procter & Gamble, people probably won't argue with you too much about it, even if they're not stock market people necessarily, because they know the company, right? They understand what the company is, what their products are, what they do. Nordson, if you say that's your favorite, you'll probably get some eyebrows raised. Like, who? Well, Nordson has been around since the 1950s. They are an industrial manufacturer. They make all kinds of different devices in all sorts of different industries. You can see here anything from medical to particle sensors to they have some things in adhesives, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, adhesive dispensing systems. Just a lot of stuff that, again, if you're not directly involved with them and their products, you just probably aren't very aware of their stuff or even their logo. But why they made the cut for me, and why they are on that tier 1 stock group for the 18 to 30-year-old investors, is Nordson is a dividend growth super compounder. Their dividend increase is going to put them over the 60-year mark. For consecutive years, they've increased the dividend. Think about that. Some of you don't have parents, or maybe even, depending on how young you are, grandparents that have been around that long. 60 years old. I'm 40 years old. My dad was just a little guy when this company had their first year of dividend growth. And they were a dividend aristocrat, meaning they had hit the 25-year mark when I was just in grade school. And they've continued to do this well before my lifetime, all throughout my current lifetime. Look at this. The 5-year dividend growth rate is 14.21%. Their dividend increase this time around was right in line with that. It was 14.7%. They have raised their dividend from $2.72 per share now to $3.12 a share. Seeking Alpha doesn't have this updated yet, but their quarterly dividend is now going to be 78 cents a quarter, which is $3.12. So we can do the math there together, right? And the current yield on it right now is 1.3%, which is very exciting. I know there's a lot of channels out there pushing high yield trash, and this is not one of them. If you have plenty of time in the market, if you're in that 18 to 30-year-old range in particular, you can get this super compounder with 14% average annual growth on that dividend, well above their 4-year average yield. Look at this. The 4-year average yield is 0.93, not even a full 1%. And if you buy it at these prices right now, you're getting it starting out at 1.3. So if you just think about the math on that for a minute, if we go to something like the rule of 72, You divide something into 72, the growth rate, to see how many years it'll be for your investment to double. Well, how many times does 14 go into 72? About 5. Uh, Not perfect, but about 5. So your dividend, let's say you invested enough money in Nordson where it was producing $1 of forward income. All right, just $1. You invest that and you get that dollar. That dollar combined with the dividend reinvestment, of course, should easily double every 5 years. So if you're 50 years old and you don't have as many 5-year periods left in your life for that dividend to double, you'll want to start out with something with a higher yield than this. But gosh, if you're 20 years old and you could let every dollar of forward income that you get from Nordson double every 5 years, then by the time that you've hit your 50s, this position, your yield on cost is going to be absolutely massive. And you want to have positions at that point in your life that you've built up sufficiently while you were young and then allowed the dividend reinvestment to do the rest of the heavy lifting for you, that you're going to be getting those pieces of your portfolio that are increasing at that rate, as opposed to the stuff where if you buy it at a high yield early, something like Verizon or Main Street Capital or Realty Income, like some of these really nice higher yielding stocks that I also really like and are in the tier 4 category, those are going to grow in the single digit range year to year, the low single digits for that matter, 2-3%. When you're starting out with an 8% yield and you need the income right now, that makes a lot of sense. But that's not what you need, in my opinion, if you are a younger investor. You need companies like this that are going to get you that 14% increase year over year over year. That's what it's all about. DGI, dividend growth investing. This is the growth right here, that 14% a year. And listen, imagine somebody that has been investing in this company for decades. They are at that point where they are in their 50s and their 60s and they're retired, they're living off of the dividends their portfolio generates. If they've got, let's say, enough Nordson to generate, well, we'll just say a round number. Let's say they're generating $1,000 a year from their Nordson position because they've just had it for so long. They built it up a while back and it's continued to grow. That $1,000 a year is going to double every 5 years for that retiree. So they're getting big raises on their income as opposed to worrying about dividend cuts from chasing yield traps. So let stuff like this snowball and really start to do some serious damage for you the longer that you have it. I think that Nordson is, now that they've raised their dividend, they were an okay value beforehand, but now that they've raised their dividend, before the share price of the stock reacts and also goes up 14%, which I think it's not guaranteed, but odds are it's more likely than not at this point. This is a great time to buy this thing at 1.3. Because again, it's a low starting yield. So the higher starting yield you could get it at to begin with is great, because that's going to give you even more snow at the beginning of the snowball to start compounding it. So I'm very excited about it. If Nordson even takes $1 or $2 cheaper than this, even me as a 40-year-old will probably add a little bit of money to my position. It probably won't be one that I focus a lot of my attention to, but I could see throwing 10% of my weekly investment income this upcoming week into some more Nordson. Why not? And for me, that 10% of my weekly allocation, that's not even going to get me a share. All right, it's not even going to get me half a share. Okay. I'm a middle class guy. I'm not putting tens of thousands of dollars into the market every month, but I definitely want to continue to add to my positions like this, so my dividend increases will continue to be really big year in and year out. So hey, anyone own any Nordson? Congratulations to you if you do. Links in the description to the video below to each of the 4 tiers, where I go through all 60 of the stocks over 4 separate videos, one video for each tier explaining why the company made the final cut of the top 60 for me and why the channel focuses on them. You can email me any questions you may have at dgicrab@yahoo.com. Send me an email. I'd be happy to do a video response to any question that you might have that might require a little bit more of an in-depth response. Very happy to do that. I love to make content for you all and send out some good news to the dividend growth community. All right, everyone, that's probably enough for me this week. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll be back on Monday with some more content for you. Patience and perseverance accomplish all things, investors. Remember that. Take care.